question from Allison Mastrangelo.
Hey, Solo.
How you doing?
What was the kind of just environment in the locker room, seeing the guys packing up, getting ready? What was that kind of like?
Um, um, I don't know. It's tough. It's definitely different because for them, well, for majority of the locker room, it was like a realization of I had to take a deep breath and be thankful for the season. Um, Somebody like me, it's a weird feeling because you feel like you got to take you got to take it for what it is. You know, Chris Paul, had, 16 years, it took him to get to the finals, and so it's tough because you want to look at you look at the season, start of the season, and you'd be like, well, majority of people look at this as a celebration because it's basically saying they didn't have any expectations for us. Um, Me, I'm on the other hand. First day I stepped in the locker room, I felt like we could have made it to the finals. I told the same thing to my guys back in Miami. Told Dre, told Kelly, told Duncan. I felt like we had the talent to win it all. And it was nothing against Miami. It was just we lacked a little bit of direction here, and consistency. And to see it happen, and to know we're like 2 games away from going to the finals, it is bittersweet. And hopefully that adds. The younger guys have to go through it. I was blessed with some of the guys that last year that have been through it, and Jimmy was basically one Kawhi, three away from advancing, and so you need that hunger. You need guys like Trey, Kev, Bogey, Clint, JC, everybody to kind of feel that winning mentality. Because now the conversations change. What's expected out of us, and what we can accomplish next year. We won't be that underdog anymore, and so it's cool to see that we're establishing that. You want to be a franchise that competes at a high level every year, and to see that finally come to fruition is an amazing feeling. But we know that we have work to do next year, and next year being possibly a full season. So there's some excitement for it as well. But definitely proud of the guys. Proud of everybody in this locker room, the way that they turned it around and was able to come out with this type of winning season for sure.
I just wanted to follow up real quick. I feel like I've noticed with, like you said, the younger guys versus the veterans like yourself and Gallo, like a difference in emotion. Like the younger guys are like, we'll be back, we'll be back. And you guys are like, yeah, we'll be back, but it takes a lot to get here. I mean, is it just because you've been through it and like nothing is guaranteed in this league?
But yeah, most definitely. It's That's what's kind of it's so hard. It's very hard because we look at the talent in this locker room. You say there shouldn't be a reason why we can't get back here, but it doesn't always work like that. Most definitely doesn't always work like that. You're blessed to be in a position to compete seriously at a high level, um, and to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. We just played against a team that finally got over that hump. And they've had the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. They've had first team defense all players. They've had multiple All Stars chosen within a year. You look at Brooke Lopez. He's still the franchise leading scorer in Brooklyn, and for him to take a humbling role with that team, and for him to be ready to step up, it's that sacrifice he's been trying to make his whole career to get over that hump. So they have guys. We talk about their starting five when we talk about their depth. They have guys that were franchise players in the sense that have bought into trying to do something bigger than themselves, and it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. And we don't want to just assume that we could just get back here because of talent. And so yeah, being an older guy, it's tough because you don't want to have that feeling. You want to just leave everything out there and try to get it now. I'd love to still be playing, be on a flight headed to Milwaukee today. But I'm gonna be behind the young guys if they feel like they can get back here and they all believe in that, and I'm gonna stay behind them, and I'm gonna try to be a part of that as much as possible to get them here. Because if they do want to get here, there is a way, And then there is an opportunity for us to get back here and be a consistent player as far as competing for a championship for sure.
Sarah Spencer.
Hey, Solo. Obviously, this team's core is still pretty darn young. How much value is there in them getting this playoff experience? And, you know, how much do you feel like it prepares them for the future to know how hard it is to win and also to know what they need to do, if that makes sense?
No, most definitely. This is everything. You know, you don't want to get into multiple seasons where you tell young guys that you're competing and, you know, you're drafting these guys and the lottery, you know, to compete and win. These guys have been winners majority of their career. It's the reason why they're here. And so you want to establish that, you know, to be able to tell guys, you know, to establish a culture, winning has to come from it. I think before this season, a lot of guys were trying to play for themselves because they didn't see success. You know, when you don't see success, you start looking at it for yourself. It's the same thing that got us here. You know, everybody wants to go out there, get points. Everybody wants to try to run up their contract situations because you don't see anything else. You know, what else is there to basketball if you're not winning? You're just out there playing basketball. So it gives guys real experience that their sacrifice was for something bigger than themselves. You know, we had a lot of guys on our team that could have complained about shots all year, but guys bought into making sacrifices for one another for the greater good of the team. So now it allows us to kind of, when we say these things, we mean it. You know, when we lose guys and we're still able to get 2 games away from the finals, it kind of just shows you that it's about team. It's about us, not the individual. So for these young guys, it's big time. It gives them that opportunity of being like, we know what it takes to get there. And if you're doing anything less than what it takes to get there, then you're cheating yourself and you're cheating the team. You can't be about winning if you can't sacrifice for the greater good of the team. And everybody did that this year, and I'm very proud of it for sure.
Jamila.
Hey, Solo. I know we've talked about the history that you have with Coach McMillan and just how far back you guys go. What have you seen from him over the course of the season and the postseason run?
You know, I'm just happy for him, honestly. I'm blessed to being able to see him still get the opportunity to coach at a high level. He's a great guy. You know, you don't get many guys like that in the NBA. You don't get mentors in a sense like that in the NBA anymore. And I'm very appreciative of him and his family. It's not just him for me. It's also his son, who I competed with in college. And, you know, I always tell guys, like when I came into the league, Coach Mack was at that point my highest ranking coach for a Black coach, be associate head coach in Indiana. And I didn't have an opportunity to play for him in Indiana. We had talked about it, and it was a no-brainer this past offseason. And I'm thankful for him. And I'm thankful for the ability for him to just have some joy in coaching a young group and finding success for himself, because it's the same thing I try to tell the young guys about, you know, getting to this point. You know, I look at Coach Mack's career, and it's not just about him coaching, but even as a player. How many times, you know, for a guy that's been in the NBA for 30 years, how many times have he gotten to this point? You know, and so I'm just glad that he got over that hump. You know, I was a little bit a part of playing him last year, but I'm glad he got over that hump. I'm glad, you know, we was able to go Game 7 for him in Philly. You know, he told us to believe, and he backed it up. And there's nothing more than having your leader back up the words that he said. It just makes it easier for us to go out there as players and get the job done.
Thank you.
Final question will come from Steve Hummer.
Yeah, so what do you think is required of this team to take that next step?
We need some edge. We need some edge. You know, it's one thing to come from me, but we have to have somebody out there that is clocking big minutes to have some edge and some grit to them. You know, Cam showed that last night and his minutes. You know, shit just can't be easy. It can't be. You know, we're talking about doing the hardest. Last night was, you know, opportunity to play the hardest game that anybody in that locker room has ever played in their life. You know, that's basically the situation. I don't care if you went to care about no college championship. I don't care about no Elite Eight in college and all that mumbo jumbo. Last night was when you needed dogs, you know, so it's tough to when you've never been there, but we need that grit. We need somebody other than CC to anchor the defense and to be vocal. And we just need to kind of relax. I think we get a little antsy, we get a little lost out there, but that's to, you know, our franchise player is 22 years old. You know, we got a lot of young guys in this locker room, and, you know, we don't want to keep throwing the age around because these guys are battle tested. These guys have played a lot of minutes. And so, you know, next year will probably be a year that we don't use the age. The age is, we can go down a list of great players that have won at an early age. Magic Johnson came into the league and got to the chicken right as he got drafted. So this is a team that we can't keep using the age. We'll have guys that are 24 years old, like 6 years in. And we just got to have some maturity to our game. We have to be able to understand what's going on out there on the court, talk and get things done. But we need some grit. We need an edge. You know, I think Milwaukee brought that edge. They attacked the paint. They was forceful, whether it was Bobby Portis, Drew Holiday, PJ Tucker. They brought a certain edge to the game that it only comes when you've been in the playoffs and you've lost and, you know, you've been ridiculed. You know, shit. Chris Middleton was talked about last year when Giannis went down, and everybody was asking if he's that guy, can he be that guy? So these are guys that have been through a lot, you know, and we haven't been through anything. So we kind of have to find that grit for ourselves. We have to find that why. You know, you don't want to have a first round exit next year and then guys kind of buckle up and being like, oh, we got to be better the next year. So we definitely need some grit. We need some dog, a little more dog in us.
And are you assuming that Nate's going to be the coach next year? How shocked would you be if that doesn't happen?
The only reason is if somebody gave him $1 zillion and some ownership stake in their team, and you know, this is a business, and he's kind of parlayed. You know, I think about it for myself if I was a coach. The deal that I would have signed 4 months ago as opposed to the deal that I can sign now. You know, I think he's kind of put himself in that position. He betted on himself, just like players do. And that adds to his ability to negotiate. And I respect that. You know, if we would have won it, I think going to the next round, win it all, his contract situation goes up a little bit more. So he's doing the things that he has to do to take care of himself and his family, just like anybody and everybody else would do. But Nate's our coach. They're just waiting to get the final details and all that stuff. And like I said, unless Orlando Magic came in and gave a plethora of, gave him $100 million a year or something crazy, Nate McMillan is going to be our coach.
Yeah. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
That's a good way to end it. So